Sean Diddy Combs remains behind bars tonight after losing an appeal of a ruling denying him bail. The music mogul now awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy charges that carry a sentence of up to life, possibly life in prison if he's convicted.
We were told that he used to eat delicious things like duck and chicken, but now it's downgraded to some potatoes. Not a very appetizing meal that he had last night. And by the way, if you've heard of MDC Brooklyn, this detention center, it's probably because R. Kelly has stayed there, Fetty Wap has stayed there, Michael Cohen, Allison Mack, and Ghislaine Maxwell. A lot of famous people have gone here before. Really, really rough, we're told.
P. Diddy's recent legal troubles have taken a shocking turn, leaving many stunned by the details emerging from his time in custody.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs back behind bars, a magistrate judge denying him bail, saying that there were no conditions that she could conceive of that would make her confident that he would appear again for other court appearances. The judge saying, "My concern is this is a crime that happens behind closed doors." Diddy's lawyers had argued that he had made good faith efforts by showing up in New York, ready to surrender to face these charges, but prosecutors said that he could not be trusted, that he has a history of trying to intimidate witnesses, including some who are going to be witnesses in this case.
As authorities continue to investigate the explosive allegations surrounding his extravagant parties, the situation has escalated far beyond anyone's expectations. Behind bars, Diddy's once glamorous lifestyle seems to be unraveling, with unsettling revelations coming to light. The events unfolding in prison, combined with his past actions, have left fans, celebrities, and the public alike questioning the true extent of his involvement in the controversy.
They urged the judge to remand him. She did, and when the judge did, Diddy, who was sitting at the defense table with his attorneys, did not show any signs of emotion. He took a sip of water before he was led out of the courtroom by the U.S. Marshals. Now, his lawyers have vowed to fight this. They are going to be back in court on Wednesday before the judge who will oversee this trial and try to get Diddy to be released.
The alleged speculations suggest Combs panicking inside the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn has sent shockwaves across the internet. Sources claim the footage captures the music mogul in a state of distress, a stark contrast to his usual confident persona. Currently detained while awaiting trial, Diddy is reportedly under heightened surveillance as authorities continue their investigation into the serious allegations against him. The audio, if authentic, paints a troubling picture of his time in custody, raising questions about his mental state and the pressure he's facing as his legal troubles escalate.
Sean Diddy Combs into custody after he was charged with that sex trafficking case. He was let out of the courtroom by the U.S. Marshals, and he will be held in federal detention as this case moves forward. Now, this followed a lengthy hearing with both prosecutors and Diddy's attorneys arguing reasons why he should be kept behind bars and why he should be released. Diddy's lawyers saying that he has taken voluntary steps, including turning over his passport to his lawyers, saying he would report any of his movements to prosecutors. But the judge finding that that was just not enough. She said, "My concern is that this is a crime that happened behind closed doors, even when pretrial services is monitored."
MDC Brooklyn is infamous for its harsh conditions. Inmates have reported frequent stabbings, lack of medical care, and food contaminated with cockroaches.
So she said there was nothing that his lawyers had offered that made her feel comfortable that he would return to this courthouse for subsequent court hearings and for a trial. She said that it was both his substance abuse and the fact that some of this physical abuse that's been alleged occurred when he was using drugs and alcohol, that was a reason why she couldn't trust that he would not commit any additional crimes while he was left on bail. So Sean Diddy Combs is not going to be walking out this door. He is in federal custody, where he will be unless his lawyers are able to convince a different judge.
Many have referred to the facility as hell on earth, describing it as a place rife with chronic understaffing, overcrowding, and an aggressive criminal atmosphere. Inmates often endure harsh conditions, with limited access to medical care and poor living conditions, contributing to a sense of constant tension. For someone like Diddy, accustomed to a life of luxury and control, the stark reality of the MDC could be overwhelming. The intense surveillance he's reportedly under only adds to the grim nature of the facility, highlighting just how dire the situation may be for him during this tumultuous period.
Well, Sean Combs still behind bars as we speak after a judge denied his request for bail a second time. And the place where he's locked up now getting a lot of attention. The Metropolitan Detention Center, the only federal jail in New York City, is known for violence, poor conditions, and a string of celebrity detainees. And Diddy's attorneys want him out.
The BMJ highlighted in a tweet that the current state of prisons in the United States is a significant public health crisis, especially in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. Researchers Catherine Lemasters and Lauren Brinkley Rubenstein emphasized that the pandemic exposed severe health disparities and inadequate conditions within U.S. prisons, such as overcrowding, poor ventilation, and limited healthcare resources. Cameron Lindsay, a former warden at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, has raised concerns about Combs' safety during his detention. Lindsay noted that Diddy's celebrity status and the serious charges against him make him a potential target for mistreatment or aggression by other inmates. Some might view harming him as a badge of honor. Consequently, Diddy is being held in the special housing unit, which isolates him from the general population to minimize risks.
You say his fame makes him a target.
Yes, in my humble estimation, his life, his safety is in jeopardy in any correctional lockup right now. If it is true, as reported, that he is housed in the special housing unit, it's important to note that the special housing unit is a lockdown, 24-hour lockdown unit. The MDC Brooklyn is a high-rise. The vast majority of the floors are general population floors.
While this setting reduces immediate threats, Lindsay described the SHU as a highly restrictive environment with limited recreation, minimal social contact, and strict routines. MDC itself is notorious for its harsh conditions and alleged corruption, which compounds the challenges for high-profile inmates like Diddy.
But the special housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown facility, so this is for Mr. Combs' protection. His incredible worldwide celebrity combined with the allegations, the charges now, and indictment, of course, of acts of violence against women make him a very attractive target.
All right.
Obviously, they need to safeguard him.
Diddy's transition from a life of unparalleled luxury to incarceration marks a profound change. Confined to the Metropolitan Detention Center's special housing unit, he faces stark restrictions, including 23-hour cell confinement, basic meals, and limited recreation. The isolation and harsh environment could take a toll on his mental health, a stark contrast to his previously dynamic and social lifestyle.
We were told that he used to eat delicious things like duck and chicken, but now it's downgraded to some potatoes. Not a very appetizing meal that he had last night. And by the way, if you've heard of MDC Brooklyn, this detention center, it's probably because R. Kelly has stayed there, Fetty Wap has stayed there, Michael Cohen, Allison Mack, and Ghislaine Maxwell. A lot of famous people have gone here before. Really, really rough, we're told.
As his legal case unfolds, Diddy's focus will shift to mounting a defense against charges that carry severe penalties, including life imprisonment. His public image and career may face irreversible damage due to allegations of trafficking and misconduct.
Orchestrated all of these freak-offs, purchased multiple hotel rooms for these freak-offs to take place, had his staff stock the rooms with different items, drugs, lube, extra sheets, things of that nature for the freak-off, didn't allow individuals to not participate in the freak-off. And one of the ways that he did that was by using drugs in order to get them to a state of mind so that they would participate, or he would use the tapes as extortion to force them into these freak-offs.
Even if acquitted, the stigma and psychological impact of incarceration will likely have lasting effects. Once living in multi-million-dollar mansions and hosting extravagant parties, Diddy now finds himself in a solitary cell with no access to the comforts of his former lifestyle.
And he did all of this for his own perverted, twisted benefit. I don't know if he was participating in these. I don't know if he was getting off to these videos that he was making. Who knows? This is crazy. I don't know how else to put it. It's crazy. It's terrible. The amount of people whose lives have been forever affected by this. I just want to know some more information, and I want to know who else is involved in this, because I have a feeling that this is going to be massive for the next 2, 3, 4 years and beyond.
Freddie P, a former member of Diddy's Making the Band group Da Band, recently appeared on the Art of Dialogue podcast, where he claimed to know many of Diddy's secrets from their time working together. He alleged that Diddy engaged in manipulative and inappropriate behavior toward artists, exploiting their financial vulnerability. Freddie P also suggested that Diddy maintained a culture of silence by providing financial benefits to those around him, which discouraged them from speaking out.
It was a surprise to me, bro. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Like, when you see Puff, it's kind of a surprise, but like I told my brother, man, you know, he was telling me he don't think Puff gonna get locked up. I say, bitch, they got Chapo. You know what I'm saying? Like I was telling you earlier, they got Chapo. They could put Chapo under the ground. They could hire Puff. But it's just long overdue. Like for a while, it made me kind of question, like, damn, you know? It's to the point where it felt like they forced the feds to do their job. He forced the feds to do their job, because if they didn't do it, everybody looking at them like, what, do you motherfuckers exist? You know what I'm saying? Like, he done got away with too much shit, but you gotta understand this, right?
Freddie P's remarks come amid heightened scrutiny of Diddy. These claims add to a growing list of allegations from former associates and associates questioning his conduct over the years. Such revelations could further impact public perception and the ongoing legal case.
A lot of stuff Puffy going through, and I don't wish bad on him. Like, before this transpired, I had a lot of hatred toward him, but it was about financial reasons. When it comes to this subject, it's very sensitive to me because there's a lot of victims in here. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, it's still somebody's father. You know what I'm saying? So, but we make our own bed, man. And for a long time, a lot of people, I want him to understand that a lot of people was hurt because you couldn't live your truth. Everything he going through right now is because he couldn't let go. He couldn't let go having a position of power over street niggas, and also being who he is.
Former mobster Ori Spardo, known for his deep understanding of criminal systems, shared insights into what Combs' experience at MDC might entail. Spado emphasized the notorious reputation of Brooklyn jails, describing them as harsh environments rife with aggression and poor conditions. He noted that these facilities often expose inmates, especially high-profile ones like Diddy, to significant challenges, including threats from other prisoners and the psychological toll of isolation.
MDC is worse than it was then, all right? But let me tell you about Essex County. Essex County. My friend says it's the worst in New Jersey. It's a very serious jail. People get beat up left and right. The Bloods and Muslims control everything there. He will be in PC, or he's going to have to pay. Now let me tell you, a guy like Diddy with money, they put him in general population, he's going to be paying a lot of people. A lot of families are going to be very happy.
Spado's observations align with broader critiques of MDC Brooklyn, which has faced scrutiny for its deteriorating conditions, corruption, and history of aggression among inmates. For Diddy, who is accustomed to a life of privilege, adapting to such an environment could be particularly grueling.
My friend said it was the worst spot, constant lockdowns, and the food was beyond disgusting. Now, he said it was beyond disgusting there. He's saying that it was great at MDC when we were first there, and it was disgusting. All right? But he said it might be better for him because MDC is really fucked up now. And the MS-13 are controlling. From what I hear, MS-13 is now controlling MDC. These are folks, this is information that came from somebody who just got released and knows these prisons. So I don't know why this attorney wants to get him transferred from MDC to Essex. It's like from worse to worse. But anyways, that's their choice.
Combs was arrested in New York City on September 16, 2024, following a grand jury indictment. The charges against him are severe, including allegations of racketeering, trafficking, and transportation to engage in illicit activities, referred to in the indictment as adultery. The accusations center on orchestrated events that allegedly involved coercion, trafficking, and the use of illicit substances to incapacitate participants.
Combs was arrested on Monday, months after federal agents raided his homes. He also faces several civil lawsuits accusing him of sexual assault over the past few decades.
The indictment, spanning over a decade, paints a picture of systematic exploitation involving multiple collaborators and victims. Diddy has pleaded not guilty, and his legal team has vigorously denied the allegations, describing them as part of toxic relationships and not criminal conduct.
Rapper Sean Diddy Combs now facing sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy charges following a months-long investigation. He appeared before a federal judge in New York on Tuesday, pleading not guilty and will remain behind bars.
The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct.
Prosecutors claim the rapper ran a criminal enterprise through his business empire, where he and his associates engaged in sex trafficking and forced labor. He's also accused of verbally and physically assaulting victims and using assistants and household staff to hide his crimes.
As alleged, Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines.
Combs has been entangled in a series of legal issues over the past year, with multiple lawsuits accusing him of exploitation and other forms of misconduct. High-profile allegations include claims of coercion and physical mistreatment from former associates and employees, notably ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, who filed a lawsuit accusing him of years of misconduct. These allegations have contributed to heightened public and legal scrutiny surrounding Diddy.
Let me say a little bit more about the charges. The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways. As alleged, Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine.
Diddy is currently being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, in Brooklyn, the same facility where R. Kelly was previously detained. This jail has a notorious reputation for its harsh and inhumane conditions.
Diddy Combs has been denied bail in connection with the sexual abuse and sex trafficking charges he faces. And as Les Trent reports, the music mogul who once traveled by private jet to all those mansions is now in a jail that is notorious for its bad living conditions.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs spent his first night behind bars inside a facility that is being called Hell on Earth. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn is notorious for its appalling living conditions and rampant violence.
Inmates have reported rampant behavior, including hitting other prisoners and self-harm, as well as severe understaffing and lack of medical care. The facility has been described as hell on earth due to its unsanitary conditions, with reports of food crawling with cockroaches, mold in showers, and broken light fixtures.
Sean Diddy Combs back in court to request bail compares a horrific New York City jail conditions. Not This dude, is he for real requesting bail? This the same dude who can barely skip town when the authorities are raiding his houses? Talking about, I didn't know y'all were looking for me, fellas. Well, now you know, so could you come back in town? Cause we got some questions for you. But I tell you what, after my vacation, I'll be ready to answer all your questions. But does he think the judge is stupid? If he gets bailed, that guy is gone forever, off to some country with no extradition treaty, living a low-brim having lifestyle, cause he's got the money, and apparently a lot of lube for some reason. No, buddy. You stay right there. You're right where you belong. But it's so uncomfortable. Like there's no oceanfront view.
The denial of Combs' bail stems from prosecutors' concerns that he poses a potential danger to the community and represents a significant flight risk. The federal charges against Diddy are severe and involve allegations of long-term manipulation and threats to silence victims. Prosecutors argued that his influence, resources, and alleged pattern of behavior indicate he could intimidate witnesses or continue harmful actions if released.
Sean P. Diddy Combs in court, he has pled not guilty, and the prosecutor is arguing that he should be held in jail. He should not be released on bail because he's reached out to witnesses and victims, and some witnesses say they are scared of him. This is according to the prosecutor. They're saying that he's reached out to some victims. The Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson is the one making this argument to the judge. She says that he's reached out to some victims.
Additionally, the court considered his substantial financial means and international connections, raising concerns that he could evade justice. Despite his legal team proposing stringent bail conditions, including relinquishing internet access and assets as collateral, the judge deemed these measures insufficient given the nature of the charges.
So Sean Diddy Combs was just arraigned on his indictment of sex trafficking and racketeering charges, and he was denied bail. I'm shocked, for one. I'm Eliza Orland's career public defender in Manhattan for the last 15 years, and I just heard this news that, in fact, the judge denied him bail and he will remain in custody. He will remain in jail through the pendency of this case. Now, granted, these are extremely serious charges and he is facing up to a life sentence if convicted on the racketeering charges, but I thought that his attorney's pitch, which was for a $50 million bond and putting him in home detention in his Miami residence, would be accepted by the judge. But that is not what happened, and the judge said that he will be detained. Defense lawyers apparently will be appealing this ruling to the district court, and he did, in fact, enter a plea of not guilty today. There is no trial date set yet, but the hearing date is next set for September 24th. It's certainly not unusual for people to be detained pre-trial. However, the defense put together a proposal which basically offered home detention with GPS monitoring and a $50 million bond and handing over his passport, restricting his travel. So I'm just a little bit surprised that no bail got set in this matter and he's just being detained pre-trial. If folks are interested, I would be happy to go into more detail about the pitch by the defense counsel as to what they were offering up instead of pretrial detention, but I am floored, and it looks like this case is going to proceed while Sean Combs is in custody. Leave other questions in the comments and follow along for more.
According to Stephen A. Smith, prosecutors are pushing hard to see Diddy behind bars following serious charges. Smith emphasized the gravity of the situation, noting that the case has far-reaching implications for the music industry and beyond.
It almost seems clear it's not just him thereafter. These are RICO charges. It's an indictment. It's Homeland Security. Homes raided in Los Angeles and Miami. Computers and laptops and iPads and phones and surveillance videos and stuff like that confiscated. They did that in May. You're talking about months later, and here they come with this indictment, and they're trying to make it so today, as we're taping this show, if prosecutors have their druthers, they're trying to make today his last day of freedom in his life. That's what they're trying to do. They want him behind bars today. Not next week, not next month, not when the trial begins and he's found guilty by a jury of his peers in their eyes. No. They want him in jail now. This is the level of urgency that they're attaching to this. And then lo and behold, on this day,
he expressed concern that this is just the beginning of a larger crackdown, suggesting that many others in Hollywood and the music world could be implicated.
You know why they're doing that? Because it's a glimpse of what's coming. There's a whole bunch of names. Y'all guess it. I ain't gonna put out no polls. I'm not going to put a poll out there and ask you and give you names and multiple choice. I'm not doing that to other human beings. Only reason I read Kevin Lyle's name is because of the TMZ report that's plastered all over the news right now. It's the only reason I read the name. I'm not mentioning anybody's name. But what they're saying is that's the first domino. That's what they're saying. That's the implication. That's what's going on. Think about the parties at his home. Think about the artist, Puffy, P. Diddy, Sean Diddy Combs. Think about the artist he's represented, who's worked under his label. Go ahead and do your own homework. Think about the people an inordinate amount of people he's been seen with.
However, Diddy's lawyer has expressed strong support for him, emphasizing their belief in his character. They acknowledge that while Diddy may not be perfect, he is not a criminal.
Okay, the points that we've been wanting to make, I think it came out. Mr. Combs is a fighter. He's going to fight this to the end. He's innocent. He came to New York to establish his innocence. He's not afraid. He's not afraid of the charges. There's nothing that the government said in their presentation today that changes anyone's mind about anything. He's been looking forward to this day. He's been looking forward to clearing his name.
However, there have been comparisons between the cases of R. Kelly and Diddy Combs. Both have faced serious allegations involving trafficking and racketeering. R. Kelly was convicted and sentenced to 30 years in prison for his crimes, which included trafficking and filming children in inappropriate situations.
Because you don't know whose name is attached to P. Diddy, and you don't know where the dominoes are going to fall. You see, when R. Kelly, with his pedophile ass self, was being pursued by law enforcement, by prosecutors and what have you, it was just him. There might have been some people who knew or thought or heard or whatever the case may be, but they wanted him. Okay? They wanted him.
Similarly, Diddy is currently facing charges related to a criminal enterprise involving trafficking and other serious offenses. Legal experts have noted the parallels between the two cases, highlighting the ongoing scrutiny of high-profile figures in the entertainment industry.
I thought that was going to be my last question, but you did bring up R. Kelly, and I got to ask this. Precedence does matter. And when we see, even though that was a different situation, different case, when we see what ultimately happened with him, he's going to be serving about 30 years in jail. He's in the midst of serving about 30 years in jail. How much, if at all, does that play a role in the likelihood of a mountain of legal matters just coming down on him like a tsunami in light of what happened with R. Kelly?
It plays a big role, I think, in terms of how people are responding. Those billionaires, those buddies of his that used to party with him, I think folks are making sure they keep their distance because of what did happen with R. Kelly. Saw Jay-Z.
I think she got it. She hit the nail right on the head. I think everyone is keeping their distance. Everyone is staying away from him. Everybody but Stevie J seem like they distance themselves from him. You could completely see that going on right now. Even the other day, we seen LeBron James unfollowed him, and we seen videos where LeBron James been saying there's no party like a P. Diddy party, and now you unfollow him.
Now you unfollow him. It's like the 48 Laws of Paris, law number 5. Reputation is everything.
Yeah, facts.
So you gotta stay clear.
Facts.
Combs' arrest took a long time due to the complexity of the investigations, which involved multiple allegations spanning decades and required thorough evidence collection. The legal processes and numerous civil lawsuits added to the delay.
Sean Diddy Combs was indicted today
in a federal indictment that charges him with 3 things: racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking using force and coercion, and transportation with the intent to engage in prostitution. If his crimes are, as the feds alleged in their indictment, both widely known and continued for more than a decade, everyone's asking, why did it take so long to charge him? One reason why is that Mr. Combs and his alleged co-conspirators did everything in their power to prevent victims and witnesses alike from coming forward and talking through a variety of means, including blackmail, forced drugging, holding their careers and financial security hostage, and engaging in other violent acts like kidnapping and even throwing a Molotov cocktail in someone's car. And the reason it's happening now? That's because a change in New York law allowed several of Mr. Combs' accusers to sue him for civil damages based on their alleged injuries. Chief among those accusers, his former partner, Cassie Ventura, who sued him last November for $35 million. Mr. Combs settled the day after, denying that any of her claims were true. The only problem is, remember that hotel surveillance video we all saw last spring with him dragging a victim across the floor? Yeah, that was Miss Ventura. There are indications that Miss Ventura and other accusers coming forward is what
The arrest of Combs has been hailed by some women as a step forward in holding powerful men accountable for alleged aggressive behaviors. For example, Aubrey O'Day, a former member of Diddy's Making the Band group Danity Kane, described his arrest as a win for women all over the world. She emphasized that it represents a moment of justice, creating space for survivors to heal and for broader societal change. O'Day, who has been vocal about Diddy's alleged aggressive tendencies, expressed feeling validated by his indictment and highlighted the need for accountability in cases involving powerful individuals.
The judge cited Diddy's history of violent temper and potential intimidation of witnesses as reasons for keeping him behind bars. Diddy's former protege, singer Aubrey O'Day, is celebrating Diddy's downfall today. I feel validated, a win for women all over the world.
Combs has pled not guilty. Those were the only words he uttered in court yesterday.
What are your thoughts on addressing public health challenges in U.S. prisons? Should decarceration or better infrastructure take priority? Share your perspective below.